Welcome back to another fine episode of Piper Doug and whatever it is that the actor that plays Piper Doug does. So, yeah, there's spits of rain. So cutting is at a bit of a standstill. And yes, there was stuff that was bordering on ready for baling. But it is what it is. We haven't had a lot of rain, so I don't think it's going to affect it too badly. But we're probably going to have to rake the headlands anyway. Flip it over. And that'll still make good hay. So what are we doing this week? Well, as you probably saw at the end of the last episode, something showed up at the farm. So I just currently got the text from the truck driver that he's just a few minutes out. So what I do is I meet them at the top of the section, and that way, because low loaders have a hard time with approaches, he'll just pull over, drop the neck, I'll take the baler off, and then he can do a 3-point turn and head back to Verdon, because it's a trucking company from Verdon. I'll put the company in the description. So yeah, big shout out to Trevor Robinson's trucking, and I'll bring you back when we're in it. Get at it! Yay! Giggity! Well, I can safely say, can't argue with that. Here, give you a wee zoom. That's incredible. Now this rain, talk about serving a purpose. So there's a definite line here where you can see I ran out of seed when I was doing the double lap over, but there's seed catch everywhere anyway. Isn't it good? Jeepers. I'm gonna have to maybe make sure I get a couple of bins moved ready for the big harvest, the big yield. That's not too shabby, considering I ripped the ever-loving heck out of that field. Some weeds way up in the corner there, but I think that's outside of my crop line. Some in the crop, but I'm not too worried. Tidy. Giggity. Yeah, I know there was some of you. You know who you are out there in YouTube land. We're asking, why would you go buy 2 balers when you're still using the ancient basket rake? Well, and I know it's all in good jest. The biggest reason that we bought a second baler is because of the see, we worked with a business management consultant back when we had the family farm, and I really liked sitting down with that guy because he was saying a lot of the things that I was always thinking, and they really struck a chord with me. And this comes back to why you see what you see around here. It says when you're creating a business, when you are trying to either grow a business or get it financially secure, the top thing you have to do is don't spend money on something that does not directly make you money. That was one of his top mantras. Top of the list. He said outside of, your normal business practices, don't go spending money you don't have if you cannot help it. So this is where we come to this. We bought the second baler because the baler makes us money. We sell bales. We make bales to put in the cows and we sell calves, but we also directly sell bales too. So we cannot afford, if we have crop down and there's impending weather, ironically, we've just had a bunch rained on. If we can run both balers. If we don't need to, at least that way we have a backup baler, so if one goes down. That's a 2006. The baler that we picked up that's in the shop right now getting going over, it's a 2011. I will go into that in another segment of this video. It might already happen, might not. We'll see. Don't know where we are. Back to this. So we got that stuff rained on and getting the hay rake ready. But if we can, all we need to is just flip the swath over onto new ground to get the underside seasoned. We don't need to be going 2 into 1. Our swaths don't need that, thankfully. That's where this comes in. This is an inverter. It fluffs and it inverts. It's not so much a merger. You can merge with this, but that's not the main reason I bought it. Now, this was actually on consignment at Mazer's. That's probably one of the reasons why they didn't rip us off blind on it. I'm not going to tell you how much we paid for it, but let's just say we paid what they were making at auction. The pictures that were on their website showed, because it said it's on consignment, showed it sitting in a barn. So it's not been sitting out in the bush for ages and ages. I think at some point it has. You can tell, like, it's not in great condition, but it is old. I actually don't know what year it is yet, but I'm going to run the plate. So yeah, it's got some rash, but it's not all wore out. My biggest thing, that's how I picked my silage chopper, this. It's not all rammed into rocks. Like those red ones are original bands. Some of them, a couple of them have been replaced, but apart from that, it's original. So, other thing. So yeah, that's one of the reasons why we've done this, because this will help keep quality on the hay, which will help keep hay quality up for grade to sell. If it doesn't make you money or save you money, don't go spending money. That's why we have these. Because these actually don't technically make you money, they cost you money. So that's where we're at with that. Anyway, I'm going to be getting going, and we'll join you in the next clip. Oh, look at the wee paddles. They must be tired. I'll let myself out. Picked up the goods for all your needs. Go and see Guy, Verdnag. Hey, if you want to fancy trying out one of them there little new Coyote, those little red tractors. There you go, Verdon Airport. Verdnag. Well, you can see we're having a bit of a deja vu from last year. You can see the new growth underneath is starting to turn a little bit white underneath the swath, but very actually bordering on surprised, because these swaths are big, heavy, flat, and still soaking wet underneath. And it's doing pretty good, but you'll notice I'm not using the arm. Now, I did have it on there, but I'll get around the corner here. But it was binding up, the swath was binding up on the arm, and I think there could be a couple of reasons for that. One is the the other side of that red part that you're looking at right there, which is the skid plate, it's covered in surface rust. Because I imagine it gets polished pretty smooth once you're actually swath inverting. It's covered in surface rust right now because it was sitting inside a shed somewhere damp. If I have the picture, I'll put it in here. It shows you where it was sitting. And you can tell, if you go to the picture, you can tell by the front wheel of the old John Deere AR there, that it's sunk into the ground, that shed is slightly moist floor. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to flat wheel that arm, flat wheel that surface, and see if it'll make a difference. Because I think in most of the field, like here where it's lighter, that arm will actually work quite well at turning a swath over. But looking at it there, it doesn't really look like we need to. But I'll get it ready anyway, and I can try it out and see how it does. I got it, might as well see if we can get it to work. But saying I'm pleasantly surprised. It's working quite good. I'm not pushing it quite hard yet. I'm only doing 8 miles an hour. Like I said, just until I get the kinks worked out, get the rust off the fingers and off of the parts, get the belt nice and softened up. I'll probably have to tighten the belt up a little bit. Yeah, but once we're gonna get the machine all working smoothly, we'll kind of see how fast we can get it going. It's kind of one of those, how far do I want to throw it to? So that's where we're at. So yeah, there we go. The new Shire investment. Yeah, we're a bit of a thin spot over here. I'll bring you back if there's a heavier spot for you to watch. So yeah, here we are back in some heavier stuff. As you can see, it is flipping it over almost all the way over in some of the instances. But the big thing is, it's getting it off the ground. Which is a fairly big deal because, like I said, look at how deep it is. That you can see the new growth already coming through. Look how much new growth there is around it. But you look at the damage on the ground, and that was the outside swath that was run over by the disc bind the most, like crossing over. And then I always make sure never to turn on the swath, but you still have to put a couple of tires over. So yeah, I would call that a win. It's doing really well. And like I said, I am in no way at this point wanting to put 2 into 1. I learned the hard way last year when we started putting 2 into 1 and then it got wet again. Because once you start trying to flip 2 into 1s, yeah, that don't go so well. Like I said, we found out the hard way. So here's hoping our little investment will help keep the quality on this stuff. Seems to be doing quite well so far. I'm not seeing as much leaf flying around as what the basket rake did. So, keep at her. Gonna do some sketchy stuff, doo-da, doo-da. Gonna do some sketchy stuff, oh, the doo-da day. And so, further to our well, jeepers. Further to our previous conversation about capital investments to save you money. So yeah, we've never had a bulk tank in this yard. Now these tanks are $3.5 grand brand new, and this is a brand new tank. And yes, probably could have got one for half that price at an auction sale or whatever. The reason that we went with the brand new from the distributor is because we're with Environmental Farm Plan. We have our paperwork. they will give us, it's at least 50%, if not 80% back on buying a, wow, they are just going berserk. So yeah, we'll get a good chunk of the money back for putting this tank in, and because this is a top pump, so I've still got to go and pick up the pump and all the shenanigans that goes in here. That's what this is all about. So the nice thing is, for the most part, our annual fuel consumption last year was 1,200 gallons, I think it was. So yeah, this is 1,000 gallons. So that should do mostly for our bulk buying. And if at a certain time comes we need to, there is a space here for a second tank. And it's nice round here, out of the way, now that I've shown the entire world on my YouTube channel where our bulk tank is hidden. Wow, that wasn't great thinking, was it, Piper Doug? Oh my gosh. Anyway, so yeah, other capital investment. Bought the net wrap. It's all nice and stored away in the workshop now. Yeah, that hay flipper. And yes, you're going to notice that the hay rake is back on the tractor. I got to the limit of what a hay flipper will do. Hay flipper will be great when we're doing normal cutting and we want to speed up the wilting, flipping everything over. Is it, do they know? Do they know? Is what? The problem being is some of the spots in the field where it's probably in around about that 5 tons to the acre, it's so heavy and laying pounded into the ground, you turn it over and it's soaking wet and it's green, like cut yesterday green. And so yeah, the hay inverter kept jamming up and that got old real quick. Plus the fact I had to slow down when I was getting to the heavy stuff. So yeah, on the lighter ways, I could do 8 miles an hour. On the slow parts, I was down about 6. This old guy does 9 miles an hour all day long, hammering at the swaths. So I'm just going to go on and get it done with this. So that's where we're at. Huh. When I'm done, there's no noise. First 10 bales made of the season. Don't pay attention to that one. So the outside rows, as I said before, as long as the tougher green parts are minimal, the rest of it will take up the moisture. Yeah, it's good enough. We'll put it that way. Good enough. I needed to get the headlands off, like I said, so I can get in to get the other stuff swath clipped. And these bales, these will be fine. I've checked them over. They're right on the limit of tough. Because there's some spots where it's bone dry, and then there's some spots where it's reading close to 30. So, down if you do, down if you don't. But like I said, set them out, let them air for a few days. They'll be fine. But I need to get on. As you can see, there's weather hanging all around. We're supposed to be fine right now till the middle of the week. So we've got a window of about 4 days. So if I can start getting this ripped tonight and then tomorrow try and get the majority of it done, it sits for a day or two, we should be good. All going well. So, let's get on. Back at her. Got those bales out of the way of the headlands and let's get in and out. Get flipping and the flopping. Yeah, I know my windows need cleaning. So I figured, well, I'm a sort of a captive audience here. Probably give you the backstory to why you now see there's 2 of those lovely big John Deere balers in the yard. So, as per I was saying before, capital investments. Every year you know, if you have had a good year, you try to reinvest capital. Something that will add to your equity as well, not just, you know, throwing money around. So, like I said before in one of the previous clips, I think I said this, a second baler is a very good move, considering we sell bales and we need to get the hay off in as good quality as possible. Kind of ironic considering I'm doing this right now. So, we had been talking about this, me and the boss lady, Mrs. Piper Doug, and the second baler was a no-brainer right off the bat. Because during the winter we picked up that second loader tractor, that was sort of last year's big thing besides paying for many repairs. So, next on the list was to get a second baler. Now we have 2 loader tractors, now we have 2 balers. Always the premise of having older equipment, you're going to be fixing them, so you need to have a backup when you're fixing. That's why you run 2 of them. It's still a hell of a lot cheaper than buying newer stuff. Because you think about it, that 2006 568 baler, we've had it for 4 years now. We paid 20 grand for it. Great baler, and that was cheap at that price. The baler we just got is a 2011. So we had allotted about 23 to 25,000 for that baler. I spied it on an auction. It was actually through auction time, but it was with a local auction company. So I've been keeping an eye on the online. I went and got set up to bid, so I had to register with auction time. I ended up talking to a guy in Nebraska at head office to get registered because there was a mess up in the online form part. So finally got that all figured out, so I was ready, good to go, ready to bid. So the day came for the auction. I put it on my phone, a reminder what time the auction was up. Make sure I was going to be back in the house in time to sit down at the laptop and hit the button. Because I've done my homework, I know what these balers are worth. I can see by the pictures online, and I don't know if I showed this, I might show this later. There's a bunch of new parts put in the baler, new pickup bands, just a whole bunch of stuff that's been done to it. So, I went about my day getting stuff done, kept checking my watch, phone, and then I was in the workshop, so I think I was like 25 minutes to go, get out of the workshop, go check the cows, and then go to the house. I walk out of the workshop door, and the next thing, my phone rings. And I thought it was the reminder. Nope, it was Mrs. Piper Doug. She says, "Are you not coming to bid on that baler?" And I said, "Yeah, I'm just on my way in, I'm going to check the cows." And she says, "No, the timer's on." I said, "Yeah, I know. I've got about 20 minutes. She says, "No, there's seconds left on the clock." So I asked her to check on it, and it was like less than a minute to go. And according to my alarm, there was 20 something minutes still left to go. So I don't know whether there was a mess up at their end and the baler jumped the queue on when it was supposed to be auctioned. So basically I had to, through the phone, tell Mrs. Piper Doug, walk her through bidding on the, because I left it open to bid. So I told her 23,000, that's what we'll do. And she panicked, she says, "I can't do that." I said, "Okay, 21,000, I hope that's enough." Remember, this is the 2011. Right now, 2011s with 20,000 bales on them at dealerships are going for over $30,000 for these balers with net wrap. So she put in the 21,000, and then I make my way back to the house. I get in the door, she meets me and she says, well, you own a second baler. And I'm thinking, that's awesome. For 21,000, that's incredible. And she looks at me and she says, nope, not for 21,000. I said, oh, did you put the higher bid? She said, no, I went less. Let's put it this way. What we paid for the baler with the auction seller, buyer, whatever they call that, with their charges, and then with 1,500 on the trucker that you saw hauling the baler, was still less than what we paid for the 2006 baler. So, yeah, that was incredible. So I don't know what happened at their end. Feel kind of bad for the owner of the baler that was selling it, because I wouldn't be happy with that. As the buyer, I'm very happy with that. But it is what it is. We got bit hard when we were having our farm auction, selling our combine and our big four-wheel drive tractors and all of that stuff. We got bit really hard. So it's almost nice to be on the other end of that equation for a change. So yeah, that is how Mrs. Piper Doug bought a baler. Back. So, as you'll notice, we're back with the old 56 here, and it's funny because the wind is coming out of the northeast, which is, as you're looking here, going from the right of the screen to the left of the screen and heading away that direction. So you'll notice that the wind's actually helping hold the swath as it flops over, helping hold it with the wet side up. So that's kind of inadvertently turning out better than even what the swath inverter was. So figure that one out. That's nice. So right now I'm almost at 9 miles an hour, which was faster than the inverter. No. I'll give the inverter this. It made a really nice job of picking the swath up and fluffing it, as you can see by all the stuff that was previously done. And I'm thinking in a normal gear, when we're trying to speed up wilting, that inverter will work just absolutely brilliantly. But because when we get to the low grounds, like up here was where I was having the issues. I don't know if you can pick it up in the camera there, you can see it's kind of bunching, where it would sort of sit up on the canvas and then fall out. So that's why you're getting sort of knots everywhere. That's not good for wilting. So that's why we went back to the rake. Like I said, on normal years, without having I think we got 2 1/4 inch. I think that's what we ended up with total. In a normal year, without getting 2 1/4 inches on heavy crop, because that's probably closer to 5 tons to the acre stuff, it would work just perfectly. But I don't have time to wait, because this morning I got up, checked the weather report, and it said come Monday, today's Saturday, come Monday we're going to be getting a good chance of rain, and Tuesday and Wednesday and Thursday. So I put my head back in the pillow, nodded up for a few more minutes, woke back up, and they'd taken it all off except Wednesday. So we've got till Wednesday. So that's why I am giving her. I'm not cutting anymore. I'm just getting this stuff ready. This outside stuff is pretty well ready to bale, because that was done 2 days ago. But I'll just leave it, because I need to get the raking done now. So So you can kind of see here the difference between the inverter and the bar rake. The swath next to me was done by this rake on the first pass, and then the next one was done by the inverter. So you can kind of see now that I'm traveling with the wind, it laid the swath back over onto itself, so it's kind of sitting back on the tough stuff, but it's fluffed up though, which helps. Versus that, where it's sort of rolled over and it's, yeah. So really it does depend on whether you have the wind working with you and what direction you're going with the cut. It's a bit of a science to this whole thing. Like I said, it would be great if I had good weather to come in here with a V-rake and knock two into one and let it sit up nice and proud and air out. But it could rain in 2 days from now, and then we'd have two into ones to deal with, so not doing it. Ay, ay, ay. It's a bit of a hot one. Actually, the wind is actually quite cool. The sun is hot. A lot of people might have a hard time understanding that part. It sounds stupid. Anyway, so what are we doing? What are we doing, baby? What are we doing? So, this is the first one we've done in, I think, a month now. So that's what's left over in the tires after a month of feeding silage pretty well every day. Yeah, I'm picking through the crust randomly up at the pit, but for the most part, most stuff just goes into the mixer wagon because I'm not actually like really mixing the silage through, so the cows can pick through what they want. Yes, in a week's time it's going to be Canada Day. Canada! And a lot of you will be like, why are you still feeding your cows when you have a section of feed? And we've had enough moisture, like the pastures are just going blazes right now, and you'll know about the moisture considering I'm raking and baling hay that's been down for 11 days now. Yeah, that's fun. Well, there is a bit of a backstory to this. We have a friend who's trying to track down buckets, 5-gallon buckets of condensed garlic mush, puree. So I don't know whether it's like seconds or extras or what it is. So she's trying to track that down because she's in the world of restaurants. And we were going to try and run some garlic through the mixer wagon to help with the flies. Now, I'm not really sure where we're at in this, but yes, the fly brush, the oiler, works great. Like, you'll see the cows walking around, they're not really doing too much in the way of like whapping with their tails. You'll see them up in the around the bale feeders are doing a lot more of it. There's a reason for that. Their backs are good. It's around their sides and then down on their legs are getting bitten something crazy. I don't know why, but the horse flies and the little blood flies, they are insanely bad right now. Insanely bad. Little poor babies, like some of them, the legs are bleeding on them. So I've been spraying some stuff onto the little one's legs that I can get close enough to. But I know garlic is a good ward against flies. And that cream colored tub, there's one over there, that's garlic tubs too. But I've been told by certain people that if you can get condensed garlic puree and put it in your silage, cows like it, and it comes out through their skin when they sweat. So that's another reason why they're in here. All going well though. Whether that happens or not, Canada Day, cows are going out. They're going out to the grass. I just feel they'd be better off in the grass to get the flies away from them than here on the bare ground. So, like I said, they're not hurting for food. Believe you me, you see enough of them up close, they're not hurting. That and the fact we still have a few cows still to calve. There's half a dozen cows in the yard. 2 or 3 of them are for sure gonna calve, so we try to make sure we don't let them off into pasture until we can keep an eye on the babies to a point. So yeah, that's where we're at. So I have no idea if this is the end of the video. If it is, thank you all for watching. Sure mighty glad you came back, and I hope you come back next week. My little channel is growing slowly but surely, and yes, I noticed there's adverts on almost all my videos, and what can you do? Like I said, there is a little bit of another surprise coming up here soon. I'm hoping one of the next videos you see will be to do with that. So yeah, Piper Doug might be doing a little bit of a collaboration. Yeah. So yeah. Don't forget to hit the like button on the way out, and I hope to see you next week. And I hope to be back and doing some more cutting. Oh, I tell you, the smell's glorious. Say goodbye, everybody. Well, it only took a few minutes to undo 2 days' work.